Hello, everybody, and happy Wednesday. Margaret, happy early morning to you. Michelle, Regina, Andrea, who is a brand new grandma. Congratulations. And hi, Chris and Gail. I do not have my trusty sidekick, Terry, with me today. She couldn't be here today, but hopefully we will still have a really good time here together. And I just realized there was one thing I want to make sure of on. Yep. Okay. All my settings are correct. Hey, Philippa, good morning to you. Hey, Renee, good afternoon to you. So happy to see everybody. I'm starting something new. Let's see if I switch my cameras around so you can actually see. There we go. Yeah, isn't it exciting? A grandson. That's so exciting. Yeah, and I got some blues, and I only did a couple things before you guys got here. I will fill you in, and you can tell me what you guys are doing. I just have a piece of felt on my hoop and a piece of blue fabric over it. You probably are not going to see any of this blue when I'm done, and that's okay. So, because this is just going to be completely covered. And then I took some organza ribbon. Hi, Sue. How's the smoke up by you? We're in the red zone here. Hey, Mary, who is, I won't even try and pronounce it, Nina N, but I know that is Mary, who is new to our Facebook group, and so happy to have you join us. So I just took some organza ribbon and gathered it, and it sort of looks kind of frou-frou right now, but we're going to play with it. Hey, Rosalina. And that's as far as I got. I brought out some blue button or beads, and I've got some net, and of course I've got a whole lot of fibers. And I have a new way of finishing something that I want to play with, but in order to experiment, I have got to finish something small so that I can try it. You don't have any smoke up by you, Sue? Oh, wow. So it's all drifted up to us. Yeah, we were like 190 last night. It's gone down a little bit today. And so I'm just kind of going to play with getting the big stuff in first and then fill it up with stitch and beads. That's my thing. This will be a texture scape. And I just got to figure out what I have a needle. I do have a needle. Hey, Paul, glad to see you here. How are you doing? Yeah, you haven't been here for a while. Oh, where's Wendy? Where's my other South African friend? Oh no, Wendy has often connection issues. Whoops, I did mean to double thread that. Oh well. So hopefully the sound issues have been fixed. Part of it was a Susan error last week, and part of it was figuring out Firefox just is not a lot of fun with video stuff. So I switched over to Chrome. Hey, Joanne, there you are. How are you doing? All right, this is going to be kind of short, but I kind of just want to tack this down, and I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to worry about anything because you know me, I don't like to worry about anything. Hey, Barbara. Took you a while to clear the drying things off my keyboard. What is drying? What have you been working on? Have you been jelly printing or doing something else? And for my paper lovers, I am really still trying to clear out paper things. So there is a 25% off sale going on now in the supply section of my website. If you know paper lovers, I would appreciate it if you would let them know. You do need to use the coupon code, which is posted at the top of the page. Let me bring this in here. There's the link, and free US shipping. I don't think it's worth it to mail out of the country, but I'm happy to do that if there was somebody that wanted something. Oh, some more hidden paper clips, and the stamped images were drying. Nice. Yeah, I just really want to move the stuff out. So there are a lot of good deals in there. All right, what did I do? Wow, so already, Susan, I am not in the ball game. Okay, so we're just gonna We're just gonna fix it. That's what we're gonna do because that's what we got to do sometimes. I am not expecting this to be a pretty perfect ruffle because I don't do perfect. I just want to get things tacked down. Yeah, Michelle, there's blues. There's so many things you can do with blues, and I was so hung up on my mossy stuff, which there's nothing wrong with, but I kept saying I want to get to the blues. I want to get to the blues, and I want to do a small something. And if it works the way I'm hoping, then I can do bigger. I posted the shoot, I should have had let me grab the coupon code as well, because I'll feel bad if somebody goes over there and they can't find the coupon code. Let's see here. Whoops. Too many windows open, Susan. Way too many windows open. Okay, that is the coupon code for the 25% off. Yeah, no Barbara or no Terry today. She had a bunch of appointments and going to be in the car for a way too long a time. That's never fun. At least it's not fun for me. There's Sandy. Hey, Sandy, how goes it? So I actually have empty shelves in the garage, but I do not have empty shelves in the studio, which means I'm not done cleaning things out. But I also know I cannot spend all day organizing. So I'm kind of limiting myself to when I have to get up out of my chair because my knee doesn't like to be in one position for too long. Then I'll go in and do like 15 or 20 minutes in the studio and come back out again and do some more stitching. Okay, I kind of want to keep the weighted part. Here's my way of thinking of this. I want to keep the weighted part in one section. And so I'm just sort of tacking it down. Whoops. And stabbing myself with the wrong side of the needle. Crafting as I watch. Life is wonderful. Nice. So Barbara's making some hidden paper clips. Are you working on a journal, Sandy? Okay, I don't necessarily want it to be an S. Let's make it kind of heavy right here. So who's doing what? I'm kind of excited. I'm sorting my scraps by colors because I remembered why I was saving all the little scraps for something other than a Just Because book. So I'm anxious to try that. I still haven't worked on hooked up my embellisher, but I did get my needles. An altered book. Oh, fun. Is there a theme? So this feels like really overwhelming to me right now because the texture is so high, but I know over time, and I mean, I can even come in and flatten part of this out. Ooh, I kind of like that. Okay, let's get this tied off. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Life is wonderful as long as we choose to look at it through those glasses that tell us not that life is perfect, but that there's happy in every moment, right? Ooh, let's do that. Tell me something happy. Tell me something happy in your life right now. Barbara says, oh, we have our same 6 Wednesday going public this afternoon at 5. Oh, you have a link you want to post for us, Barbara? Go ahead. She said, go hop with me and 5 other artists who are playing with the stuff I sent this month. Oh, nice. Hey, June, how are you doing? All right. So now I think I kind of want to get some of this down. 1955 Reader's Digest condensed book. Colors in the picture. So I'm just running with that theme. Oh, how fun. Andrea's working on a new video. The bit it says here is one I made earlier. Michelle's not sure what to stitch next. Chris said, my cat is sleeping beside me. Always makes me happy. Yeah. Cats are great snugglers, aren't they? They are the best snugglers. I've only had one cat in my life, and he was so amazing. All right. I kind of think I want to do this. Mary says, I'm working on a project my mom gave me to do for her, a kit she bought over 20 years ago. Also weaving a little wall basket. Oh, cool. So you like all kinds of creative things. I hope you'll post some more pictures. I saw some of your recent embroidery in the group. Post more pictures of your goodies. And this is something I cut apart. So I'm going to have raw edges, and I'm cool with that. I like it when things start to kind of fray apart. All right, let's see. I'm so happy I figured out my microphone. It's the funniest. I mean, when you can reclaim any kind of space on your desk or in your workspace, to me, that's like a huge win. And I reclaimed like a foot of desk space. I know, isn't this awesome? Just doing this little bit. And I'm looking for, did I bring out any thin threads? I did not. Well, oh, yeah, I did. I've got this. This will work. Renee said, I learned how to make a shirt lace button and a Dorset button. It was not as painful as I made it out in my mind. Oh, Andrea, who is Birdie Loves Crafting, is another button maker. Okay, Barbara's sent the link. It won't be active until 5 p.m. Central Time, but that's going to be great. It's always fun to see what people are making. Oh, just be easy, Susan. Just use the needle threader to see what people, if you give a bunch of people the same exact things and what they come up with, or the same prompt. See, now this was not where I was going when I started this, and that's fine. I think, though, it does take a certain amount of courage, or I don't know what. It takes something, and something I have, but I didn't know I had, to just start creating without a pattern. June says, it's a beautiful day here in New York, and my morning walk was lovely. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, there won't be any walking out in our smoky. Boy, I think it's gotten worse since I came live. Looks like we're back up to like in the 190s again. I look at people that start a project with an embroidery pattern, and you know what? It freaks me out. It's like trying to follow a map, which I can't do. I literally cannot do. I am so grateful for my voice map that just tells me to go here and turn there, because if I look at a map, we'll be driving somewhere, my husband's driving, and he'll say, pull up Google Maps. It's all set on my phone, and just tell me something there. And I can't help him. He ends up having to pull over. Almost shaped like a brain. Yeah, it does, kind of, especially with these ruffly edges. But I think coming in here with some of the big buttons or big beads and flattening some things, this is going to be fun. And then, of course, I can have all the embroidery stuff around. But I mean, there are people that love to follow patterns. And it's funny because I had forgotten that years ago, I used to do a lot of kits with the Creative Circle Stitchery kits. And it was okay. I mean, I wasn't like obsessed. It was more thinking about it as a job as opposed to an art. But I realized that the patterns are the things that really throw me, because I know my stuff's going to go its own way. And it's like, nope, I need to just not worry about a pattern. But somebody asked me, well, how do you know what to do next? And I honestly don't know. I just pick something that looks interesting and start to play with it. Yeah, these colors. I mean, I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about working in a single colorway, because honestly, by the time I'm done, all my blues are going to work together. I don't have to think. I'm working, although sometimes it takes me a few tries. In the evenings, I'm working with on a green piece, another landscape, and I've had to stitch over or remove a few things where the colors just didn't quite make the effect I wanted when I had all the greens together. Sue said, I prefer to stitch intuitively, but sometimes my brain will only follow the lines of an embroidery pattern. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know me, the biggest rule that I follow is, am I having a good time? If I'm having a good time, then I'm going to just keep going. If I'm not having a good time, I'm going to stop and do something else. And that means that piece could be just, left and not anything happened to it, or I could come back to it later with an idea. It is developing fast. I think that's why if you put your big things down first, if you know what your big things are, then it just sort of informs where everything else is going. Okay. My husband is slapping the measuring tape around in the background, if you're hearing that noise, because we are going to go look for a new couch after the live. We are long overdue for something that's not going to be painful to sit on. We both pile pillows around in our sitting area, which is not a whole lot of fun. Okay, and I have a whole lot more of this netting should I decide I want to do more, but I think this is going to be enough because this is small. Hey, Wendy, how are you doing? Oh, your daughter works a late shift, so you had to get the little toddler tornado all set up, right? I know, Gail. I've been putting it off. I've been putting it off for so long. And after that, we need to go looking for a new bed. And it's very frustrating. And we have a very quirky living room. There's only one place the seating arrangement can go. And we have to think about the windows, the TV, and the floor vent for the heating. Michelle says, what color couch? Earth tones. That's us. Brown would be fine with me. Margaret says, I've been working on my embroidery, which is blues, and just trying things out. Lots of knots, also practicing bullion and drizzle knots. That's so much fun, though, to keep a doodle cloth and just play with it. It can turn into something or not. I'm less concerned about the color of a couch. I'm more concerned about, is it going to be comfortable? Can we find something, we might end up with a couch or a love seat and a chair. We might end up with a pair of chairs. It needs to be something that my husband wants something that he can stretch out on, and he's 6 feet tall. I'm fine stretching out on a love seat because I'm only 5 feet tall. So it's finding that happy medium. Oh, Barbara, what a good idea. She said, we took our iPads with us to try out beds. We hung out on the one we bought for a couple of hours. That's very smart. I'm like the Princess and the Pea, so I need a super, super soft bed. And we currently have an adjustable bed where we both sides have to adjust the same. We started off with one where they were split and we had that hole in the middle. But now as we're getting older, I'm thinking we might need to get the split one again because, like if I have knee surgery, I'm going to need a different position than my husband might need. And he's got issues that he might need a different position. Wendy said, oh, toddler tornado was busy tonight. Deciding what to eat took 30 minutes. Oh, and recovering from tonsillitis. That's too bad. Oh, I love it. Sue said, I had a friend who had dogs. She looked for a couch upholstered in the color of the dirt they brought in. That's funny. Yeah, Zoe's got her chair by the window. So we figure if we can't find the perfect thing right now, we can at least get one new chair. And then ultimately it can become the dog chair with a cover over it to protect it. Mary said, I hate shopping for flooring. I told my husband, let's just rip up the carpet and paint the plywood underneath. Yeah, well, once we get the couch, we need to then do the carpet. the one room in the house where we're going to have carpet. We want something cushy in here. Margaret said it's quite a long piece, just how it happened, and it might end up being cut up or, yep. Yeah, I've been thinking about some long pieces with my scraps. Kind of want to just grab like, a bunch of blue scraps and just start piecing them together onto, excuse me, onto a background. I really hate shopping of any kind unless it's shopping for fibers. That's about the only kind of shopping I enjoy. Oh, that's bad. And I don't need, need, want. I did need a few things in a different size, but yeah, and because I don't go out of the house much, I don't need to go shopping for clothes and shoes and all right, I may end up with more stitches on this, but for right now, we still have exposed plywood in a few places because this is a fixer-upper, and we've been fixing it up for about 8 years now. And when we removed some walls in the living room, we, exposed some plywood, and then we had to lower the fireplace. It's just, yeah. So we just have like throw rugs over the plywood for way too long. We've been holding off doing a lot of stuff because we really need a new roof, and we're not going to get it this winter. So I hope the leaks don't get much worse. The architect hasn't gotten back to us on the roof. The roof itself would be fine, but what we're wanting them to do is also design a carport over the part of the driveway, since the garage itself is so tiny we can't really get cars in it. And we have a quirky, curvy driveway, so trying to figure out the carport is giving her issues. Yeah, exactly, Margaret. I mean, we don't go in that's why it's hard, is we do not go into stores to shop, for food, yes. The hardware store, yes, and that's about it. Although the hardware store let us down. My husband's been moving some water up to the upper area so we can automate some things and put in a water feature for the birds a little bit better than what we have now. And he needed some Schedule 80 plumbing stuff that could, be out in the sun. All the hardware stores in the area, nobody had it. Home Depot didn't have it. And we thought, wait a minute, that's what you guys are supposed to be there for. He ended up having to come home and order the parts online. You don't even go into grocery stores anymore. My husband does the grocery shopping. He's got these long legs and can go zipping in there really fast. Because he likes to pick the stuff out. Okay, this thing is telling me this is the way it wants to be. And now, what do we want to do with these guys? I really like these big beads, and I'm kind of thinking they need to be nestled in. I have 3 of them. So I sort of think I do that. If I do that, I probably can't use these. I don't wander a garden shop because most of the garden shops around here don't carry my native plants. I am starting to think about what I want to put in the water feature area, because I only plant in November, December, whenever the rains come. And then we've got so much in the yard that I just take cuttings and stick them in the ground. All right, so what if I didn't do the big fat ones there and instead, whoops. Wendy said, here in South Africa, we do mostly shopping locally. Shipping rates are very expensive and our petrol price as well. We only order online about Christmas time. Ah. All right, art by committee. We can do the discs or the rounder ones. And this is, I'm thinking these are the ones I want. What do you guys think? Margaret said, I have to get my blue beads together before I go much further with the embroidery. Yeah, Sue, there's shopping for necessities, and then there's window shopping for inspiration or to refill the artist's well. Yeah. I think this is it. The plus side about these is they have nice big holes. Margaret said, I buy seedlings mostly for green leafy veggies and flowers for my hanging pots in the winter. All right, unanimous. And they're going to flop around a little bit. We like to window shop at the craft markets, though we shined the big auto one last weekend. Yeah, I'm not doing a whole lot of stuff in public still, although I'm getting more involved with a local group and may have volunteered to consider, I didn't commit, but consider teaching an in-person class in the spring. I was thinking I'd teach the Just Because book at the local library. They're free classes, the local library. Yeah, these beads are awesome. I think somebody gave them to me. I'm tempted. I have got so many beads that I am tempted to just start grabbing. Bye, Gail. Glad to see you for a little while. Take care. To like grab a bunch of beads in one colorway and literally just, pile the beads on the piece first and then do some fibers around it. But I can't picture in my head if that would work or not. Feeling really weighed down by so much of everything. Okay, I know for sure I want this one nestled in there. So there's Paul. I wondered. So Paul and Wendy are both in South Africa, which it thrills me so much that the internet allows us to connect like this. As huge as it is, I can't imagine you're in the same corner of the world, but it's interesting to think that you guys are in the same country. Paul does beautiful photography. I have known him for years from our photography days. Wendy said, funny story, I knitted a cardigan for the tornado. First time. I was really confident. I was so confident that I didn't make the buttonholes. My daughter's still laughing about it. Oh my, that sounds like something I would do so much. All right, yep, I like this. This was the right choice. And going through here twice means it's going to lay the way I want it to, because although the big holes make it nice for stitching, I don't really want them showing. All right, so yeah, I still think that's the placement I want. Sandy, she says, Wendy, he would just shrug it off. Yes, a shrug. I always thought it would be cool to take some of my clothes that are just kind of blah and dress them up, but boy, I just never get to it. And honestly, the only people that see me are you guys, and you see me from, from here up. Wendy says, hi, Paul. We are in Eastern Cape near PE. I live in, I'm going to mispronounce this, sorry, Uitenhage, now known as Cariega. Wendy says he hasn't worn it yet because we want to put it on every toy he owns first. Oh, how fun. All right. And then I think it needs to come in here at the end. That's what I think. And I have no idea where I'm going after this, so I might just start stitching something. Whoops, I forgot to go twice through the other one. Yeah, maybe I did. When my son was young, his thing was capes. I don't know if the little kids still do that, but he was going to be the greatest American hero. Barbara said, what you just said, Susan, made me think Stitches by Julia remakes sweatshirts, and I've done a couple. They really dress up a simple sweatshirt. Yeah, this is the one I keep thinking I want to do something with, and it's so boring. It's just, and you know, it's ancient. I mean, look at this. It's ancient, but it's my bravery sweater. It's gonna sound really weird, just from when I got it and the time of life I got it, and I don't know. I'm sort of tempted to just start stitching randomly, but I might just continue to enjoy it the way it is. Stitches by Julia is a fun channel. Okay, so I've got that, and I'm thinking I might ultimately put one more thing, but I think it might wait until later. Okay, Paul gave me the pronunciation. U10 Hog. U10 Hog. I know, Wendy. Isn't it weird? People from different countries trying to pronounce those things. Paul is in Lower South Coast. Oh boy. Paul, give me an easy one. KwaZulu Natal. Wendy, read Paul's comment. You'll understand better. I probably put him in another universe. All right, so because I have thread still in my needle, we're just going to come up and do some French knots, because when is it ever not a good time to do a French knot? It's always a good time. This is some wonderful merino wool. I really, really like stitching with it. There's a gal I get it from on Etsy, and she just dyes the most beautiful colors. So this is very different. The ruffles are not doing it for me right now. So I sort of regret them, but you know, that just means that I'm going to have to work with them and decide what I can do next. That is the only thing it means. Okay. Lately, I have been lazy, snipping things off and tying a knot. Nobody's going to see the backside. And I am over the trauma of my childhood where I used to have to show the backside of my stitch before I left. All right. So not a fan of these like they are. But perhaps, ooh, bullion stitches coming out of the ruffles. That's a neat idea. I wouldn't do that color. I've got so many blues. I'm not sure that I brought all the right blues out. Yeah, I think flattened out. I wanted to try it this way. Hey, Nellie. Hi, how are you? Seam ripper on the ruffles. You know what this organic, when you start ripping it, U10 Hague, U10 Hague, okay. So once you start doing a seam ripper on organza ribbon, it frays beautifully, but it does really affect the integrity of the ribbon. It's your first time on the live. Love to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the kind of arting you like to do. Love having new people join us. Do hit the thumbs up button if you're having a good time. So it really starts to, yeah. So see, it starts to come like this, which can be a good thing, but I worry about it coming off of the thing completely. All right, I've got this fuzzy stuff too. That's for later. I think, you know what I haven't done for a long, you're a textile student. Ah. So what is your favorite class so far? What do I want? I think I got it. Paul said I got it. I never get pronounced. Well, see, I won't remember it the next time. Margaret, Wendy wants to know if you're following the rugby. Let's see. You're gonna need just get the threader. Just get the threader. Why make life difficult? Andrea says, would it be safe to burn the ribbon and give it a different texture? Yes. I need to get batteries, but I have my little burner thing. And that, if you haven't done that before, burning organza ribbon gives it a wonderful texture. Nellie said textiles is my favorite, of course. But I mean, do you have, like, we're doing artist research. Oh my goodness, you chose me as your artist. We're doing artist research. I'm honored. Oh my gosh, how exciting. Well, I hope you're learning something, or wow. Well, you let me know if you find out anything interesting about myself. So what I haven't done for a while is some flat stitching. And I'm thinking maybe this might be a thing for some feather stitch, because it'll complement. Oh boy. Well, okay, so I'm never going to do the fern stitch because I went the other direction. That's okay. Well, and feel free to hit me up. You can email me if you have any questions or something, but this is really bright blue, but I also figure it's going to be layered. And this I may end up covering, this happens to me a lot, is I'll do something like this and then I'll end up covering it up. You won't see anything except for maybe a few little edges coming out. But what I'm doing is I'm just covering the blank page. Let's see here. You know, if you were a painter, you would have the blank canvas. If you were a writer, you would have the blank screen. And, you know, with working with fabric and fibers, you have a blank hoop in this case. And I could fill the whole thing with French knots, you know, because I've done that sort of thing before. But I'm just kind of going to fill it with texture. Other than text, oh, well, you are a woman after my own heart, because you may or may not know that before I moved to art, I was a writer for over 25 years. So I always was one of those kids that took multiple English classes. And where are you doing your studies, Nellie? You love this one. Well, I'm glad you guys are liking it, because to me, this is what I call the hot mess stage, because for me, that's what it is. It's, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just throwing things down and we're just going to see where it goes. Right now, as I'm looking at that, I'm thinking this fern stitch needs to come around over here. And I'm liking Barbara's suggestion of bullion knots, which I think will also be a good addition. Margaret says, like journaling or mark making on a canvas as a base layer. Mostly it gets covered over. Yeah, and there's just something, sometimes it's the shadows that come up, you know, from the different layers of color. I know a lot of painters will sometimes do a coating of black over their canvas and then start to build their colors up. You're in the UK. That's exciting. I'm jealous of the fact that you guys have more opportunities for textile studies in your country than we ever do here in the US. Maybe it's getting better, but I don't think so. Did I say this is the fern stitch I'm doing? I don't know if I did. I was going to do the feather stitch and then I changed my mind. So I'm thinking a few layers of this are going to be good. I'd gotten so obsessed lately with doing texture, anything that's going to raise something up, that I wasn't doing much flat embroidery, and I'm missing it, which is why I think I'm going to piece together all my scraps that I'm sorting so that I can have a base layer, and then I can just do some flat embroidery over it. Surface embroidery, I don't know. There's probably a technical name. Nellie said, also my favorite textiles technique is definitely embroidery. Yeah, this is the fern stitch, Barbara. And it goes around corners and curves much nicer for me than the feather stitch. Mostly because, I'm just kind of a random impatient stitcher. So it's harder. I'm just not patient enough with the feather stitch. I see people do beautiful curves. But again, they probably do something I don't do, which is to put a line down to follow the line. And I never do that. Mostly because I know I still wouldn't follow the line, even if there's a line there. All right, question for the group. What is your favorite embroidery stitch, if you have one? I would have a hard time picking. For texture, it's always going to be a French knot. And I think for flat surface embroidery, it's probably the fern stitch, although the feather stitch is a close second. My three favorites for texture would be French knots, bullion knots, drizzle stitch, although I also love colonial knots. And these can look really very much like a fern if you keep everything the same length and in the same colorway. You can get some beautiful viney looks to it. Big French knot for Big Mama. Seed stitch and French knot for Philippa. Sue Brown says, tough question. I use feather stitch a lot. Love to do seed stitching. And who's a fan of satin stitch? Not me. I can't stand the satin stitch. I find it very frustrating. I'd rather use a split stitch. It's a long stretch. But see, when I have long stretches like this, it just tells me I can then bring a branching thing off of it. Andrea says French knot also, but I like all the stitches. I'm thinking I need to start another doodle cloth. Remind myself of some of the things I don't play with that often. Nellie says satin long and short for flats, French knots for texture. The long and short, I would prefer that over the satin stitch. Yeah. Wendy says, I love the stem stitch. I find it calming and have done it in rows, slowly changing color. I also love chain and herringbone. I don't use the herringbone very much. The chain stitch can be fun. I think it was this shoot. I saw some great dragon scales. I think she used chain stitch. I thought it was really interesting. Margaret says, my favorite to stitch is a flower star stitch, but just 5 or 6 straight stitches coming out from the center. Ooh. Sloppy, floppy French knot is fun for loopy texture. Yes, it is. I think that might be good filling in around here after I get some bullion knots on. Well, evidently, this is just going to meander this way. I do think I want to come back around and make it hit the bottom there. My landscape I'm working on right now is so large that I have to really think differently with working on a small one. Ooh, Trish Burr. Wendy, we'll have to talk about her in the group. Nellie, I don't know if we put out an invitation, and forgive me if you're already there, but you can join the Facebook group. We would love to have you join us over there if you like. It's not just Stitch, it's for all creative mediums. There's a link for it down in the description box below the video. Margaret said, for looks, I love bullion and French knots en masse. I think whenever you mass any kind of stitch, I think it just really, really looks interesting. Okay, Trish Burr. I'm going to have to go look at her. I starred that comment so I can go find it later. All right, let's close that one off. Really? Margaret says, I love the look of long and short, but not to. See, I would rather stitch a long and short than a satin stitch, but I just, but there are people that absolutely love doing that kind of stitching, and that's awesome. It's just not me. All right, this is very strange. I'm not necessarily liking it, but I'm also trying not to judge myself yet because that's why I ended up with so many things in the land of abandoned projects. Right now, if I'm honest, when I look at this, I say they don't go together. But I can change the look of this. I would do smaller beads with beads. I can use this as a line to just tell me what else I'm going to put on top of it. I could cover the whole thing with French knots. I don't know, but yeah, it's just covering up the blank page. So Trish Burr is a South African embroidery artist who specializes in long and short. She does beautiful. Oh, well, awesome. I love finding new inspiration. We'd love to have you, Nellie. We're pretty low key. Just all love to share what people are working on. So what do you guys do when you get to a stage in a project where you think, it's, oh, I ruined it? I know 2 years ago, I would have just tossed it aside. Yeah, Sue, exactly. It's still in its awkward adolescent stage. Yep. I just call it the teenage years. And often when I have something where I feel like I've gone totally wrong, it ends up being a piece that I really, really like. I don't think I've done a lot of this where I would combine my surface stitching with the textural stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. Michelle's back. A friend called. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Barbara, you hang out in a lot of the paper journal spaces. I have a sale going on in my shop right now. I don't know if you saw it. All the journal supplies, which means a lot of paper. I need to move out of here. 25% off everything. There's a coupon you have to use. Let's see. That's the coupon code. Mary says French knots and straight stitch. I like straight stitch too, and I don't use it nearly enough. Well, it's because I'm not doing the surface stuff. So this will be a good challenge. Wendy says when she gets to something she's not crazy about, she either unpicks, or if I don't have a clue, I'll put it aside for a week or two and then have a go at it again. Yeah, I usually cover it up with something. If I looked at it for a few weeks and decided I still want to work on it, but I don't like it. Last night, I had a bunch of drizzle stitches, and the stitches were nice. They were in the right place, but the color was wrong. So instead of unpicking them, I just layered French knots over them, and then it just gave me some more height in that area. I get more frustrated at the time I feel like I have lost, even though it's all part of the process, than I do about the threads. But then I'm fortunate to have a large supply of threads to play with. So already I can see this needs to kind of come, maybe tuck into here. And I realize the reason that I haven't done stuff like this is it feels like it almost is going to want to have not a lot going on, and I tend to just overfill everything. Paul says, oh, it's been lovely seeing you here again. I've been working on my next painting. We'll post a photo once it's completed. See you all next week. Good night, Paul. Thanks for popping in. It's always good to see your name in the chat. Mary says, I abandoned some of my projects because I'm afraid of finishing it for some reason. Maybe because I'm afraid I might like the end results. Yes. And I think that is it for a lot of us. We get to this point and we say, sometimes we have this picture in our head and we want everything to turn out a certain way, and it can't, because for whatever reason, we either weren't able to manipulate the materials the way we wanted to, we didn't have a clear picture in our head, we weren't in the skill set, whatever, or things just took a left turn. And I think we need to attach ourselves to the joy in the process rather than that finished project. Joanne says, I'm in love with all my projects until I get to the very end. Oh, yeah. Then I start to question myself about whether it's good enough. Yes. And then it's my question to you is, and to anybody that has this kind of a feeling, is good enough for what? I mean, I do this to myself all the time. Is it good enough to put in my shop? Is it good enough to ask for people, to consider spending some of their hard-earned money on? Is it good enough to share on social media? Is it good enough? And the question I need to keep reminding myself about, and maybe you do too, Joanne, is, did I have a good time making it? What am I going to do if not? I just asked my husband this the other day. I said, remind me again that if I never sell another piece of art and we have to rent a storage unit so it can all just sit out there, that's okay. And he said, that's okay. And I mean, it's nuts that I have to play these mind games because I know that's not what's going to happen. But sometimes that's what it feels like. And I have to just learn to, snap myself upside the head and let it go. Barbara said, I just started working on crochet doilies for Christmas gifts this year for family. Almost done with the first one. Oh, what a lovely gift. That takes a delicate hand to work with, crocheting doilies. Andrea says, I take a picture of my work to try and see it as others do. That's really good advice. If you take a picture, and also taking a picture of it means you're going to look at it differently too. But I think that the best thing we can do is to train ourselves to remember that the fun part is the making. Not worrying about if we're going to be judged, not worrying about whether it's going to sell. Oh, thank you, Nellie. I'll open the door and let you in after the live stream since I'm the only one that does that. But just finding the joy in the process. All right, so now I have thread left and I want to come off of here. Wendy says, I tell myself I am enough as long as I do my best and don't strive for perfection. It's okay. What I make with love and joy. That is such a fabulous attitude. I want that attitude for all of you. I want you all to approach your art with love and joy. Margaret says, welcome to the group, Nellie. Happy to have you here. But we have to remind ourselves, I mean, it's a complete mindset shift. And a lot of us carry baggage from whether it was school or family members or both that didn't give us the best support for our creativity. And so we have to shake ourselves up and remind ourselves, that's not who we are anymore. Nellie says, thank you, everyone. You'll find this is us. We are such a welcoming, loving, and supportive group. I am so proud of our group. Do you know what, people? We are like 25 people away from 1,000 members in our group. I can't believe it. And we are a drama-free group. We have been really fortunate. Oh, wow, Barbara. She said, I just learned to crochet with thin cotton threads. Been practicing for 2 years. I love to crochet with lace thread now. I was afraid I couldn't do it all my life. Fear needs to be overcome. Yes, good for you. Yeah, I would find the thin threads very intimidating. I remember I inherited some crochet hooks from my husband's grandmother, and they're so tiny. I mean, I'm klutzy if I try to, crochet with thicker threads. So I'm proud of you. Barbara's like, yes, welcome, Nellie. See, we love people. Jackie's been lurking. She said, so just an idea on unfinished projects. I hang a garland string on the fireplace mantle in a doorway and clip all the projects in progress so I see them every day. Yes. I think that's really important because sometimes we don't know whether we want to go left or right on a project. And if they're out there where we can walk by them and see them, suddenly, you come around a corner and you forget something's there and you see it and you're like, oh, yes, I know what to do now. I've had a doodle cloth sitting on the wall probably for a year. And the other day I said, you know what? I think I'm ready to cut it into pieces and do something different with it. That's right. Andrea says there's also the Zoom. We meet once a month. Let's see. I can put the Zoom thingy in here too. I've got it saved. Hey, Angie. Here's the sign up page for the Zoom. We have one left this month. It's next Tuesday. It is 11 a.m. my time, which is an hour earlier than this live stream. And I charge $11. We tend to go more than an hour. And we have a lot of fun. It's a great way to get to know each other at a deeper level. That's what I love best about it. All right, I think I'm going to cross over here. Let's see, I missed something. Oh, Sue says, that's encouraging, Barbara. I've always loved the look of crocheted items. Maybe someday I'll be able to master the technique too. Andrea says 1900 in the UK. Thank you, Andrea. Barbara says, Sue, you just have to start. That's what it is about everything, right? I mean, I've started to lay out a project for the live stream the night before, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm just going to make this my, beginning a project thing, and then if I can get my act together, I will do a video tomorrow where I continue on this. Yeah, I know, Margaret. You need to come to the later ones. I wish I could be available for everybody at all the times. It's hard having friends in all the different zones, but it's wonderful too. Mary says your work is amazing. Love watching your creative process. Thank you, Mary. That's so sweet. Barbara says, hello, Angie. I love your channel. You are so cute. Isn't she adorable? And she is so prolific. I tell you what, that girl can work fast, make so many beautiful things. Yeah, Margaret, 4 a.m. is early. But hopefully with the time change, you'll be able to get to this lives at least a little bit more often. Yeah, so now as I'm getting a little bit more of this, 10 p.m. in South Africa. Yeah, we need to get you to a Zoom, Wendy. You would love it. Yes, what, Michelle? I'm missing some of this stuff. Yes, for Angie. Yes, I'm looking at this now. I'm thinking this may be filled with a lot of beads. That's what I'm thinking. Definitely took a left turn on here. I'm not in love with it yet, but I'm not usually at this stage in love with something. I'm at this point, looks like bubblegum balls. Yeah. At this stage, I'm usually at the in love with the colors and the textures. Also, different stitches use different muscle groups, so it's nice to get a break from so many French knots. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. It's odd, but I think bullion knots, and I'm thinking this thread here, this beautiful variegated threads. Ah, thank you, Michelle. So when I'm trying to kind of imagine something, I will take the threads and it's like, okay, if I'm trying to picture bullion knots coming out of here, what's that going to look like? And I can absolutely picture that. And I'm thinking this little blues. Nellie said, guys, guess my age. Oh, she's taking textiles course in the UK, which tells us nothing. How old is Nellie? 17. So I think if I carry this little blues out the rest of the way and around, so it's kind of like a wreathy thing. And then Michelle says, why Nellie? Just because it's fun. I have lots of blue beads. This just happens to be on the desk. Definitely lots of blue beads. I might bring... I really like these, but they're too, I think they're too fat. Oh, unless, but they don't, the colors aren't quite right. No. So I'll probably be doing some other ones. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Joanne says 19, but you're probably older. Sue says, sounds like a trick question. Sandy says 112. Barbara says 45, mature student. Okay, Nellie, 97. Who's close? 15. Oh, wow. Well, we're happy to have you here. Age doesn't matter. We have people from evidently 15 to, I think Margaret might be the oldest one here, but who knows? We are all young at heart. Okay, I think this might be a good stopping point for me, but what I can definitely see happening is a lot more stitch. 82, okay, and then Barbara and I think, come right behind Margaret. Yeah, give me a chance to dig out more beads. I'm going to have to find a use for these. I have a whole bunch. I will not say your age, Joanne. Joanne, you are young at heart. Yes, I love that young people are doing handiwork. So Barbara's just a little bit older than I am. Yep. Okay, folks, my hour is up. I need to go take care of a couple of things before we go out and look at furniture. Thank you all for being here with me today. Thanks for supporting me. And I will see you guys next week, or I will see you over in the Facebook group, okay? Thank you all. Bye-bye for now.